My coffee mug slips from my fingers. It shatters against the kitchen tile. Ceramic shards scatter across the floor. I barely notice. My eyes stay fixed on my phone. I scroll through image after image. Smiling faces gathered in my aunt's sunlit backyard. 34 guests. I count them methodically, as if the number might somehow change if I try again. Cousins I haven't seen in years. My mother's college roommate. Even Great Aunt Judith, who needs a walker to get around. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. The bridal shower photos show tables draped in cream-colored linens. Floral centerpieces in Sienna's favorite coral and mint. Champagne flutes raised in countless toasts. A celebration meticulously planned. Planned weeks, maybe months in advance. A celebration I never knew existed. Not until this moment. The sting is sharper because just last month, I sent Sienna a handwritten card. A congratulations card with pressed flowers from my balcony garden. I'd even offered to help design her wedding materials. Invitations, programs, whatever she needed. Free of charge. A gift from one cousin to another. My Portland condo suddenly feels cold, despite spring sunshine streaming through the windows. The light that warmed me minutes ago now feels harsh. Exposing. I realize in that moment I wasn't just forgotten. I was deliberately erased. I sink onto a kitchen stool. Memories wash over me like a tide I can't escape. Memories flood back. Before the comparisons began, there was a brief window. A summer when I was 7 and Sienna was 5. We built fairy houses in Grandma's backyard. Tiny structures made of twigs and moss and flowers. Sienna would collect the prettiest stones. I would arrange them into patterns. "We're a team," she'd say, her small hand in mine. That was before Aunt Lorraine started keeping score. Before every accomplishment became a competition. Before my daughter and your daughter replaced the girls. I remember the exact moment it changed. Sienna won a spelling bee in 1st grade. Lorraine made a cake, threw a party. The next week, I won an art contest. Mom said, "That's nice, honey," and asked what I wanted for dinner. Sienna noticed. Even at 5 years old, she noticed. She brought her spelling bee trophy to me. "You can have it," she whispered. "So it's fair." I told her to keep it. But something broke between us that day. Not from cruelty. From a system that taught us there wasn't enough love to go around. That one of us winning meant the other was losing. I was 10 years old on my birthday. My drawing had won an award at the school art competition. I came home with a certificate. So proud. But in the living room, Sienna's college brochures were spread out everywhere. Mom glanced at my certificate for just a second. "That's nice, sweetie. We'll put it on the fridge." Then she immediately turned back to Sienna. "Now, let's see which colleges we should consider. Aunt Lorraine suggests the Ivy League." My certificate did go on the fridge. Behind the family photos. Half hidden. High school graduation. Mom left early for Sienna's middle school awards ceremony. "Sorry, Morgan. But Sienna's principal is giving a special speech." My college acceptance. Aunt Lorraine hosted a family gathering. "Morgan's college? Oh, it's a state school, right? Sienna's aiming for the Ivy League." When I bought my condo, Mom's first reaction, "Do you really need that much space? For just yourself?" When Sienna signed her apartment lease, the whole family showed up to help. I hadn't realized they saw me as a problem. I hadn't realized they saw my success as a threat. But now, everything became clear. Sienna embodied the kind of success they could understand. Corporate title, stable salary, traditional career path. Meanwhile, I was something they couldn't name. A freelance designer, creative work, an income source that looked unstable, even though I earned more than any of them. I first met Dante at Nora's designer gathering. He saw me standing alone and came over. "I saw your work earlier. Minimalist, but warm. It's an unusual balance." No one had ever looked at my work that way. As work, not a hobby. Later that night, Dante told me his story. "My father was an architect too," he said. "A brilliant one. But he spent his whole life designing buildings his family approved of. Safe buildings. Conventional buildings. He died at 62, never having built the one building he truly wanted. At his funeral, I found his sketchbooks, filled with dreams he never showed anyone." Dante looked at me. "When I saw your work today, I saw someone who hadn't given up on her dreams yet. Someone still brave enough to create what she actually wanted. I wanted you to know that matters." That evening, Dante called me. "How are you doing?" His voice was gentle, asking for nothing, just being there. My family excluded me from the wedding, I said. I expected my voice to shake, but it didn't. They made fun of me in a group chat, and it was accidentally sent to me. Silence. Then, Dandy's deep breath. That's cruel, he said, but I'm not surprised. When you told me about Thanksgiving, I felt something was off. I thought I was the one who was off, I admitted. Every time Mom said, "It's not personal," I thought I was just being too sensitive. Morgan. Dandy's voice became slightly firmer. It's normal for you to take exclusion personally. Because it is personal. They're rejecting who you are. Those words released something. Something that had been trapped in my chest for so long. Remember our wedding? Dante said. The third Saturday in May. At my villa. Of course I remember, I said. I just realized today it's the same day as Sienna's wedding. Then this is perfect, Dante said. I could hear the smile in his voice. You don't have to choose. You already chose your own life. Last Thanksgiving flashes through my mind. Aunt Lorraine's voice carried across the dining room. She praised Sienna's recent promotion at the bank. Vice president at 29, she'd announced, beaming at my younger cousin. I always knew she'd make something of herself. Then Aunt Lorraine's gaze shifted to me. Her smile thinned. Morgan's still doing that little hobby of hers. The logos and whatnot. That little hobby. That little hobby that paid for this condo. That little hobby that built a client list including 3 national brands. My parents sat silently, nodding along, while relatives positioned Sienna as the golden one, right in front of me. Even when I'd mentioned the down payment on my condo, $150,000 I'd saved over 7 years, the conversation quickly pivoted back to Sienna's engagement ring. My hands tremble as I pick up my phone again. I pull up my mother's contact and press call. Before I can talk myself out of it, she answers on the 4th ring. Morgan? Is everything all right? Her voice holds that familiar note, concern tinged with judgment, as if she's already decided whatever I'm calling about is an overreaction. There was a bridal shower for Sienna yesterday. My voice comes out steadier than I expected. Everyone was there. Why wasn't I invited? A weighted pause stretches between us. Then a sigh. Oh, that. Well, Lorraine thinks you always make everything about yourself. Sienna deserves her special day. The accusation lands like a slap. Make everything about myself? When have I ever? Please don't start, Morgan. This is exactly what we wanted to avoid. Your cousin deserves to be celebrated without drama. I stand up straighter, suddenly aware that my shoulders have been hunched forward, my body instinctively making itself smaller. So I'm drama now? That's what you all think of me. It's not personal, Morgan. Not personal. The same words my mother uses whenever she wants to dismiss my feelings. My free hand stops trembling. A strange calm settles over me. I realize this isn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate, planned, discussed. I'm going to call Aunt Lorraine. Morgan, don't. My mother's voice rises with alarm, but I've already ended the call. I find Aunt Lorraine's number and dial, surprised by my own steadiness. When her voice comes through, clipped and impatient, I don't bother with pleasantries. Why wasn't I invited to Sienna's bridal shower? A pause. Then, I was wondering when you'd call. No apology. No excuse. Just cold acknowledgement. You shouldn't have been there. Sienna deserves a day that's just hers. Just hers. As if my presence would somehow diminish my cousin's happiness. As if I'm a shadow that might darken her spotlight. I'm her cousin. Her only cousin. The words feel hollow even as I say them. Blood relation clearly means nothing. Listen, Morgan. Aunt Lorraine's voice hardens. We've all discussed this. The wedding plans, too. I suggest you don't make this into something bigger than it needs to be. Some relationships in this family are already strained. The threat isn't subtle. Pushback. And what little connection I still have with my family might vanish entirely. I stand at my kitchen window, staring at the city spread out below, and suddenly understand with perfect clarity. My family values appearances over genuine connection. They always have. I hang up without saying goodbye. The silence in my apartment is no longer oppressive. It's clarifying. A cardinal lands on my balcony railing, its bright red feathers vivid against the gray spring sky. It watches me for a moment before flying away, and I find myself wondering what it might be like to be that free. Later that day, my phone pings with a notification. I'm sketching logo concepts for a new client. I almost ignore it. Deadlines wait for no one. But habit makes me glance at the screen. A group message from Aunt Lorraine. Remember to bring Sienna's wedding flowers on Saturday. Good thing we didn't invite Morgan. Less drama. My pencil stops mid-stroke. The room tilts slightly as I lean against the kitchen counter. My breathing becomes shallow. The phone screen blurs before my eyes. I blink hard and read it again. This wasn't an oversight. Not a simple mistake. This was coordinated family exclusion. I take a screenshot before the message disappears with a soft whoosh. Deleted, but not before I captured the evidence. The notification shows Sienna, Aunt Lorraine, and my mother all in the group. My mother. Of course. The next morning, I drive to my parents' suburban home. The screenshot burns like a loaded gun in my pocket. Mom answers the door in her gardening clothes. Dirt smudged across one cheek. Morgan? What a surprise. I was just about to make some tea. I follow her into the living room. She sits in her favorite armchair, settling into it with the comfortable ease of someone who feels secure in their position. I remain standing, suddenly aware of the family photos arranged on the mantel. Sienna's sundered in most of them, my face half hidden in shadows or caught mid-blink. I got an interesting message yesterday, I say, pulling out my phone. Accidentally sent to me. Her face changes when I show her the screenshot. Not surprise, but resignation. She doesn't even try to deny it. We all agreed it would be easier this way, she says, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her pants. Sienna deserves a beautiful wedding without complications. Complications? The word tastes bitter. You mean me. Now, Morgan, don't be dramatic, she sighs, using the tone reserved for when I'm being difficult. Perhaps you should make other plans for that weekend in May. Other plans? I repeat, my voice steady despite the trembling in my hands. While my cousin gets married at the Grand Lake Hotel, that $95,000 wedding where every distant relative I barely know is invited except me, Mom's eyebrows lift slightly. How did you know about the venue? Cousin Leah called last week asking about carpooling to the wedding. A small, cruel satisfaction blooms when I see her flinch. She assumed I'd be there. The silence stretches between us like a chasm growing wider by the second. Your father, and I think it's better this way, she finally says. The whole family agrees. The whole family has been told what about me exactly? I ask, voice barely above a whisper. She looks away, fiddling with a loose thread on her sleeve. Writers and those who gather the wisdom people have believed throughout their lives have said, a tree that bends in every wind will one day forget how to stand. I have been bending for a long time, bending to my mother's expectations, bending to my aunt's judgments, bending to the illusion of family peace. But those words slowly began to take shape in my mind. I chose to leave quietly, without saying a word, without creating a scene. People around me say I'm cold, that I betrayed my family. Am I wrong for choosing to disappear quietly after enduring to my limit? Am I the asshole? But in that silence, I began to reclaim my life. The next few weeks, I didn't call my parents. I left the group chat. I stopped checking for updates about family gatherings. And strangely, that silence wasn't painful. It was liberating. 18 guests. Only people who truly cared about us. The invitations were already printed. I hadn't sent them yet, though. I was afraid of my family finding out. But now, I understood. I wasn't hiding out of shame. I was hiding because I knew they would turn even my happiness into something to take away. The next morning, I sent the invitations. All of them. To my friends. To Rebecca. And as a small act of defiance, to my mother too. The phone call came 2 hours later. Morgan, what is this? You're getting married? On the same day as Sienna? We've been planning this for months, I said quietly. We chose that day because we needed perfect sunset lighting for photography. This is deliberate sabotage. You're trying to ruin Sienna's day. And in that moment, something inside me quietly broke. Not in anger, not in sadness, just exhausted resignation. Mom, I said, for 30 years, I've been waiting for your approval, waiting not to be compared to Sienna, waiting to be seen. I'm done waiting. I ended the call. This time, my hands weren't shaking. As I left my parents' house that day, I saw Dad in the garage, working on his old car, as always. He looked up when he heard my footsteps. Morgan, he said, then looked back down at the engine. Dad, did you know about the exclusion? A long pause. The clank of a wrench against metal. Your mother. She and Lorraine, they make the family decisions. He didn't look up. I learned a long time ago it's easier to stay quiet. In that moment, I saw it. The same pattern. He'd been bending too, for 40 years. And he'd forgotten how to stand. I walked to my car without another word. I wouldn't become him. The following week, my cousin Rebecca called. Mom's side of the family, 10 years older than me. Morgan, I'm confused, she said. Leah told me you're not going to Sienna's wedding. Is that true? I wasn't invited, I said quietly. Apparently, the whole family decided. A sharp intake of breath on the other end. What? That's... Morgan, that's wrong. You're her only cousin. Someone said it was wrong. Someone confirmed I wasn't the crazy one. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I didn't wipe them away. Aunt Lorraine said I would cause drama. Drama? Rebecca's voice sharpened. When was the last time you caused drama at a family gathering? As far as I remember, you always sat in the corner, smiling quietly. She was right. I had always been quiet, never making waves, never standing out, but it still wasn't enough. My very existence was too much for them. Morgan, listen, Rebecca said. I'm reconsidering whether to go to this wedding. This isn't right. Please go. I said immediately. Deb, Sienna loves you. This isn't her fault. But, please, I said. I'm okay. Really. After hanging up, I realized my words were true. I was okay. There was sadness. There was a sense of loss. But I wasn't falling apart. That night, a text message came from my mother. I heard Rebecca called you. Morgan, please don't drag more family into this. Enough people have been hurt already. People who've been hurt. Not me. People I hurt. That night, another message came. This time from my mother alone, separately. Morgan, is this really what you want? We're family. Family. I realized that word no longer held any meaning. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the portfolio for Danny's and my wedding. Watercolor sketches. An intimate seaside ceremony. Hand-lettered menus. Flower arrangements in amber and sage green. 18 guests. Only people who truly cared about us. The invitations were already printed. Dante and I had been planning our wedding for months. We didn't choose it to compete. We chose it because the villa had perfect sunset lighting for photography. But I understood something now. I had been hiding it. Not out of embarrassment, but because I knew they would turn even my joy into something to steal. That evening, Dante came to my condo. He didn't say anything, just held me. For a long time, my head pressed against his chest. You know, I finally said. I always thought I'd done something wrong, that I hadn't tried hard enough, hadn't been quiet enough, hadn't made myself small enough. Morgan. Dante lifted my face to look into my eyes. You did nothing wrong. You were just yourself. And that was threatening to them. We sat on the balcony, Portland's night lights glittering below us. Remember that saying? I said. I read it somewhere before. A tree that bends in every wind will one day forget how to stand. I've been bending for so long. I continued. To my mother's expectations. To my aunt's judgments. To the whole family's. This is for the best narratives. But now, what have I actually lost? I looked at Dante. People who don't love me? People who don't recognize my worth? People who see my success as a threat? That's not loss. Dante said quietly. That's liberation. That night, I wrote in my journal. I hadn't written in years. But that night, words flowed. Today, I chose to stand. I stopped bending. The wind will keep blowing. The wind of family accusations. Words like selfish, cold, family betrayer, but I won't bend anymore. I have my own roots, and that is enough. After I finished writing, I opened an old email from a client, something from a few months ago, from a national brand director. Morgan, your designs have both warmth and strength. I think it's because they reflect who you are. For the first time, I understood. I had always been valuable. My family just never recognized it. The following week, I met with a lawyer, not for divorce. I wasn't even married yet, but to set boundaries. You want to limit contact from family members, the lawyer confirmed. Not a legal restraining order, but documenting clear boundaries. Yes, I said. I want to formally establish that they have no right to interfere in my life. The document was concise, written in legal terms, but the message was clear. I no longer seek my family's approval. I am no longer a supporting character in their story. I am the protagonist of my own life. I mailed copies to my mother and Aunt Lorraine. Certified mail. I didn't ask for a reply. I didn't ask for approval. I simply notified them. 6 weeks before the wedding, I made all my social media accounts private. I didn't block my family. I just made it so they couldn't watch my life. Text from Mom. Why can't I see your Instagram? I didn't reply. Voicemail from Aunt Lorraine. This is childish, Morgan. I deleted it without listening. The gray rock method. A concept Dante taught me. Like a rock. Don't react. Give no emotion. Refuse the drama they're seeking. Wedding preparations moved forward quietly. Danny's villa was an hour's drive from the coast. Small but perfect. The garden was planted with amber and sage green flowers I'd chosen. My friend Nora came to help. Look at this, she said, showing me photos of table settings. Simple but so elegant. It's very you. Very you. Those words touched my heart. My family wanted me to be more like Sienna, but now I could just be myself. 2 weeks before the wedding, Rebecca called. Morgan, I've decided not to go to Sienna's wedding. Deb, you don't have to. Listen, she said. This isn't just for you. It's for me too. I don't want to be complicit in what this family has been doing for years. Can I come to your wedding? She asked. The invitation had my name on it, but I wanted to make sure. Of course, I said. My voice trembled slightly, this time with joy. The wedding day arrived, the third Saturday in May. Perfect weather. The sky was clear. The breeze from the ocean was gentle, and the sunset light was exactly as I'd dreamed. 5 p.m. Wind from the Pacific swayed the amber and sage green flowers. Dante took my hands and said his vows. Morgan, you've been bending to others' expectations for so long, but from today, you stand with your own roots. I thought I would cry, but what came instead was a smile. Quiet, peaceful, and real. 18 guests applauded. Rebecca smiled and nodded. Nora wiped away tears. Leah silently mouthed, "Congratulations." As the sun set over the horizon, Dante embraced me. "This is your new beginning," he whispered. I looked up at the sky. A cardinal flew away. Free. Just like me. That night, Nora took photos. A photo of Dante and me against the sunset. Simple, intimate, authentic. Can I post this? Nora asked. For my design portfolio. Of course, I said. And after a moment's hesitation, I'll make my account public again too. I posted the photo. The caption was short. Love, authenticity, and 18 people who truly matter. The next morning, I woke to notifications exploding on my phone. 800 likes. Then 8,000. Then 80,000. The morning after the post went viral, I woke up different. Not just happy. Lighter. As if I'd been carrying invisible weight for 30 years. And someone had finally said, "You can put that down now." I made coffee. Sat on the balcony. And for the first time, I didn't mentally rehearse what I would say if Mom called. I didn't imagine defending my choices. I didn't prepare explanations. Because I finally understood. I didn't need to justify my existence to people who'd already decided I was too much. Too creative. Too unconventional. Too free. Dante found me there an hour later. "You're smiling," he said. "I know. Not your polite smile. Your real one." I hadn't even realized. For 30 years, I'd worn my face like a mask, carefully arranged to not threaten anyone, to not take up too much space. Now the mask was gone, and underneath was just me. Comments from design bloggers, DMs from wedding magazines, inquiries from national brands. "Can we talk to you about this minimalist, authentic approach?" My phone kept ringing, but there was no contact from family, at least not for the first few days. Then a cream-colored envelope arrived. Aunt Lorraine's handwriting. Inside, a terse letter. Declined the magazine interview. Out of respect for Sienna's privacy, I read the letter. Once. Then quietly shredded it. I didn't reply. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. A rock doesn't respond to the wind. 7 weeks later, Dante and I moved into a small apartment, overlooking downtown. Smaller than my old condo, but filled with light. Every morning, I established a new routine. Wake at 6, step onto the balcony, make coffee, and watch Portland wake up. Sometimes a cardinal lands on the railing. Bright red feathers. A symbol of freedom. Work was growing. An interview with California Wedding Quarterly. Contracts with 3 new national brands. Speaking engagements at design showcases. But the biggest change was inside. When I looked in the mirror each morning, I no longer saw someone not good enough. When I remembered family gatherings, my chest no longer tightened. When I saw missed calls from my mother, I no longer felt guilt. One Sunday morning, Rebecca came for breakfast. "How's the family doing?" I asked. She stirred her coffee. Sienna's wedding was apparently lavish, she said. 200 guests, an orchestra, a 5-tier cake. "That sounds lovely," I said. And surprisingly, I meant it. "Is Lorraine still the same?" I asked. Rebecca laughed a little. "She avoids mentioning you, as if you don't exist." "That's fine," I said. "I've stopped thinking about them too." 3 months later, Rebecca called. "Morgan, Sienna is apparently getting divorced." I said nothing. "Lorraine's beside herself." Leah said she told Sienna, "Your marriage was too real." The irony. The perfect wedding, they protected by excluding me. Ending 3 months later. But I felt no sense of victory. Just quiet sadness. For her. And I understood. We weren't competing. We were just walking different paths. 2 weeks after Rebecca's call, an email arrived. From Sienna. Subject: "Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long moment. My finger hovered over the delete button. But something made me open it. "Morgan, I know I have no right to reach out after everything. Mom told me about your wedding photos. 80,000 likes. The magazine feature. The showcase. I wanted you to know. I didn't ask them to exclude you. I found out you weren't invited the day before the shower. When I asked Mom why, she said, 'It's better this way.' I should have fought for you. I didn't. I'm sorry. I know these words mean nothing now. My marriage fell apart because I spent 3 months comparing it to yours. Looking at your photos. Your genuine smiles. The 18 people who truly loved you. While I had 200 people who came for the champagne and the cake. You were right to walk away. I wish I'd had your courage sooner. Sienna." I read it 3 times. Then closed my laptop. I might reply someday. Or I might not. But for the first time, I understood. We weren't enemies. We were both victims of the same family system. She just chose to stay. And I chose to leave. The following week, a letter arrived from my mother. Not an email or text. A handwritten letter. "Morgan, I think I owe you an apology. For years, I believed Lorraine's words over your truth. Because it was easier. Keeping you in a small box was easier than acknowledging your growth. I can't say I've been a good mother. But I hope someday you might forgive me. If not today, then someday. Love, Mom." I read the letter. Several times. I didn't cry. I didn't get angry. I just quietly folded it and put it in a drawer. Someday, I might write back. Or I might not. But for now, I just wanted to breathe. That was true freedom. Not needing their approval. Not caring about their accusations. No longer trying to fit myself into their narrative. One morning, before Dante left for work, he asked me, "Are you happy?" He said. A simple question. I looked at the balcony. The cardinal was there again. Perched on the railing, watching me. A tree that bends in every wind will one day forget how to stand. I no longer bend. The wind still blows. The wind of family accusations. The wind of society's expectations. The wind of voices saying, "You're cold." But I stand. Straight and tall. My roots run deep, deep into the soil of who I am. "I'm happy," I told Dante. Really. And those words were true. For the first time. Completely true. That afternoon, I opened a new journal. On the first page, I wrote, "Today, I'm tending my own garden. I no longer care how other people's gardens are doing. My flowers bloom for me. And that is enough." Outside the window, the cardinal took flight. Bright red feathers dissolving into the blue sky. I smiled. This is what freedom feels like. Quiet, peaceful, and completely, entirely mine. If you're currently torn between family expectations and your own happiness, if you've ever had your pain dismissed with, "It's not personal," if you've ever made yourself smaller to be loved, remember this. You are not a supporting character in someone else's story. You are the protagonist of your own life. And sometimes, The bravest act isn't to scream. It's to walk away quietly. If this story resonated with you, please let me know with a like and subscribe. I'd love to hear your stories of quiet strength too. I'll be waiting in the comments. See you in the next story.